grandmother from those earlier episodes. So she's here and she's so gracious. Well, we kind of kidnapped her, but she so graciously sat down with us. So let's ask a few questions.
Yes. Okay, so you have been presenting for 2 days now, right? And you've had all these different audience members sitting in listening to your presentations. What is the one thing that you hope they gathered from you and your presentations?
Well, the main topic that I spoke about was a need to start embracing multiple linguistic risk factors for dyslexia. And it's not just a problem with phonological awareness. So, also looking at other risk factors like rapid naming and memory and orthographic processing, and so really adopting more of a multiple deficit view in terms of the factors that contribute to reading and spelling failure. Because Dr. Bruce Pennington said, if we just use phonological awareness as the only criterion, we're going to miss about 50% of the cases of kids that have dyslexia.
Yeah.
So it's really time to modify the IDA definition to, include more. And so that was sort of the major point, is really going beyond phonological awareness.
I love this because I have worked in schools for so many years, and a lot of us were going through trying to identify students with dyslexia in the educational realm. And a lot of times people would say, well, they don't have a phonological deficit, so
Yeah.
it can't be dyslexia. But you could see the writing on the wall.
Right.
You could see the poor decoding skills, the poor fluency, the poor spelling, and the schools would say no, because there's no phonological deficit. So
Exactly, and that was just the problem. And it's something I've been thinking about really for the last maybe 40 years. But it's like you see these cases of students who write words exactly like they sound, but not like they look. And then you think, well, this can't be a problem with sounds. I mean, they're spelling said, S-E-D, and they, T-H-A-Y. Their hearing sounds just fine. So there has to be more going on than a problem with sounds. And so I think it's just, really important, or we miss those kids. And as you're right, you can see it in their spelling, and hear it in their reading, and still like age at 8, 9, they still reverse letters sometimes. And, you'll even see a high school student sometimes spell they, T-H-A-Y, and you think,
Yep.
how many times have you seen
Yes.
that
Yep.
word and you
So many
still
times.
yes.
don't know how to spell it, and so just we really need to pay more attention to those other contributing factors.
Yes, I thank you for explaining that to me in more detail, and to the audience, because I really do believe that that's going to change how schools are going to start identifying kids. That's my hope anyway.
Yeah, I've had someone say to me too, from this, if it's not phonological awareness, well then it's not, dyslexia, and it's like, well, yes it is,
Yes, it
yes it is, but well, let's call it something else then, and it's like, why
Why?
confuse things? It's like we don't need another label. It's like,
Well,
but
phonological awareness. So we have kids that still go through tiered instruction, and that's the most sensitive to remediation, is that PA piece. But it's when you don't see that carryover into decoding and fluency and everything else, that's a concern.
right,
Yeah.
right, and sometimes what starts out as a problem with speech sounds then winds up more with a problem with written language and orthography. So it's fairly easy to remediate sound blending and segmentation, but much more difficult in terms of you know mastering sight words, and like with the orthographic mapping, where you're taking the speech sounds to print, and typical readers, they do that and see a word 1 to 4 times and it becomes a sight word. But
Yeah.
with our students with dyslexia, this can take 100 times
Yeah.
before it
Or
becomes,
more.
yeah, before it becomes a sight word. And you'll be working with a second grade student and they're still sounding out the word it, and you think, how many times have you seen that word and it's still not automatized, as a sight word? And it's just this process is so slow for our kids with dyslexia, and takes skilled teaching and so much reinforcement and so much practice.
Absolutely. Wow. Well, we so appreciate you just kind of coming and just talking with us for a few minutes. I know your schedule's crazy, but we loved that you were like one of our very, very first big names on the podcast.
Yes.
And when we had you on, it was like our scores went through the roof, and we're like, oh my goodness. But it was just so nice to be able to reach out to you. And I think you responded pretty immediately. Sure, I'll do that. I'm like,
Is
you
this
talking to
really
me?
happening?
Yeah, well, great. No, it's
thank you so
really nice
much.
to meet you too,
In
and keep
person.
up your good work. So just really important what you're doing in terms of increasing awareness of dyslexia and helping teachers and helping parents,
Yeah.
understand dyslexia and know what to do and where to go.
Well, thank
I'm
you,
getting-
ma'am.
Oh my gosh.
No, I'm
No,
getting
come
up.
on
I'm
board.
up.
We're